XL, whilst exhibits were still in storage. So the booking, I thought the evidence we had involved that some 7 bricks were taken out supposedly for...
Commissioners, this referred just to the cases that I've explained here now.
To Port Shepstone
it does not relate to the Port Shepstone matter where samples were taken.
Okay, thank you.
And then submitted to FSL in Amanzimtoti.
Thanks for the clarification.
Thank you, Commissioner. You may proceed, General.
And that's the end of this statement, Commissioners.
Is there anything you would like to add to your supplementary statement before we turn our attention back to your conclusion in your main statement?
No, Commissioners.
Unless there are questions on the further questions on the supplementary statement, Commissioners, I would invite General Flynn to go back to his original statement, and at paragraph 25, you then deal with the conclusion.
Page 25, paragraph 69.
Paragraph 69, page 25.
Thank you, Commissioners. The persistence of drug trafficking at an organized crime level is often facilitated by the complexity of modern supply chains and the involvement of officials who exploit positions of trust within logistics, border control, law enforcement, or commercial processes. Trafficking networks or syndicates are deliberately structured, which makes detection more difficult. Efforts to counter this form of organized crime require coordinated intelligence-driven action across multiple agencies and, importantly, embracing technology. While enforcement efforts continue to disrupt operations, bringing the perpetrators to account is difficult due to the clandestine nature of the crime and the involvement of law enforcement officials and border control. In my opinion, the cocaine seized in 2021 should never have been stored in Port Shepstone. The crime scene management failings compromised the integrity of the investigation, and the subsequent theft of the cocaine was severely compromised our ability to find the traffickers. I trust that my evidence will be of assistance to the Commission.
Thank you, General. Before I turn to the Commissioners, are there any other comments you would like to make, having then read out your conclusion?
No, Commissioners.
Chair and Commissioners, yes, please.
General, what I'm going to ask you is unrelated to your testimony, but I hope you will be able to comment on it. What protocols exist with regard to the conduct of polygraph tests, or what are colloquially referred to as lie detector tests? What protocols exist, and when is that usually or ordinarily done, and who gets subjected to it?
Commissioners, in terms of our legislation, I believe it's section 17E, speaks to integrity testing. And as part of that process, polygraph tests are also part of the machinery that is deployed to determine deception, or whether individuals were perhaps complicit in the commissioning or taking part in any offence. And then it is upon the national head to then direct who needs to be exposed to that process. So then a list is then submitted to the identified officers, who then needs to report for such polygraph testing.
Do you have any idea as to what the determinant factors are to decide on who should be subjected to the test?
I believe the merits of each matter, Commissioner, will determine whether an individual or individuals be exposed to the process. So I don't think there's hard and fast rules associated to those decisions. It will be dependent on the specific facts that such a decision will be taken.
I was avoiding specificity so as to get an idea of the generally applicable prescripts, but perhaps I should be specific now. The facts here are that General Sinona was involved in the decision to take the drugs, the cocaine, to Port Shepstone, and in the end he kept the key. I'm just trying to establish in my own mind whether he ought not to have been subjected to a polygraph test. I'm asking this in the context of the fact that there were polygraph tests here. And I assume that everybody who was involved in all of this saga was subjected to such tests, but he was not. Ought he have been subjected to the test, in your view?
In my opinion, Commissioner, indeed, he was supposed to be exposed to the process, as he played an active role in the Port Shepstone matter. Not as if he was just the provincial head sitting at the distance. He was privy to the activities. He visited the Port Shepstone offices shortly after the seizure and took possession of the key. That's active participation. It's not as if he was at the distance and that he was not related to this matter. So it's my strong opinion that he was supposed to be exposed to the process.
Thank you, General.
General, I wanted to follow up on Commissioner Baloy's question and the answer you gave, more for clarification than anything else. Were 7 bricks ever taken from Port Shepstone to the FSL lab for testing?
No,
They were not.
it was never submitted, Commissioners. It was apparently there was a request
There
for
was a
7
request,
bricks
yes.
of cocaine to be submitted,
Yes.
but I clarified that point in terms of the process that the investigators would have followed. But it was only the samples that the investigators obtained on the second day when they went back on the 24th.
Yeah.
So obviously opening the exhibits, obtaining that samples, sealing it, submitting it to FSL, that was the only samples that was submitted, Commissioners.
So the 7 bricks were never taken?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay.
That's correct, Commissioners.
Thank you.
General, we see here Warrant Officer Mpangase is quite the active person with this inquiry. If this were an investigation, I would have assumed he was the investigating officer. Does it mean he was in charge of the inquiry? Because remember we start off, you said yesterday that Colonel Jacob was the person in charge of the operation. And then he went off. Then you have Mpangase, who seems to be very busy here. Would he have been, therefore, the owner of this inquiry?
Indeed, the owner of the inquiry, Commissioner Baloy, in the sense that he's the investigating officer. But in terms of command and control, the responsibilities of the team leader, which will obviously be a captain or at the level of lieutenant colonel, the unit commander, the provincial commander, as well as the provincial head, under these circumstances where it's a major drug seizure, cannot be wiped out. They've got certain responsibilities in terms of inspections and overseeing the investigation, obviously from a higher level. But to ensure that the investigation is properly conducted, all the possible leads are followed up, exhibits are submitted to FSL in time, or then assist if there's blockages in all these processes to ensure that there's a smooth transition of the exhibits from the SAP 13 facility or wherever it was kept to the Forensic Science Laboratory.
Thank you, General.
Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, Chair. Unless there are no further questions, if there are no further questions for General Flynn, that is the testimony of General Flynn. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, General. You are excused. But perhaps you should wait for the formal adjournment.
Yes, indeed, Chair. Insofar as the next step is concerned, General Flynn will then be excused, which means we finish at lunch. The next witness, unfortunately, is one who has to travel into Gauteng, and today is his travel date to Gauteng, and can only be presented tomorrow at 9:30 in the morning.
Is that because he could not travel earlier?
The arrangements that had been made already had been for him to travel today, to be present at 9:30 tomorrow morning. In light of the fact that there is no threat that he may overrun, we thought it was appropriate to retain the arrangements as were made to cater both for his overnight stay in Johannesburg and travels, and to be presented in the normal hours tomorrow. So we request that perhaps with your leave, we stand down at this juncture to 9:30 when we start with a new witness.
Thank you, Ms. Sello. Let us adjourn until 9:30 tomorrow morning.
Thank you, Chair.